Hi you guys! Welcome back to my channel. My name's Katie and this is Mayfield Ranch. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the 10 vegetables I would grow if I can only grow 10 vegetables out in my garden. So this video is a collaboration with Liz Zorab from Byther Farms. If you haven't already checked out her video, I'm going to leave the link down in the description. So when you're finished with this one, go check it out. So it was tough to narrow it down to 10. If you've seen my previous videos, you know that I've got a lot more than 10 varieties of items out in my garden. So 10 vegetables was kind of tough, but here's my list. I'll share it with you and I'll tell you a little bit about why. So number one, I doubt it's going to be a huge surprise to any of you that have seen my other videos, but it's beefsteak tomatoes. If I could plant one thing, it's going to be beefsteak tomatoes. I enjoy having those tomatoes. They're our favorite big slicer tomato. And we do a good job growing them. They're easy for us and we like using them. I like to use them in sauces. I'll create spaghetti sauce, things like that with them. And I really enjoy using those there. So number two is sweet million cherry tomatoes. I like to grow them. Of course, they're an indeterminate type of tomato as well. And they're huge. They produce a ton of fruit for us. And I'll take those tomatoes, clean them up, set them in a bowl on the counter, and they just disappear. Every time someone walks by them, they're grabbing a couple tomatoes out of the bowl and snacking on them, and it works out great because it's a healthy snack option for us that's readily available all season. It's also a great option for us to just take to work as a snack, throw them in a Ziploc bag, and then we've got a good healthy snack option for lunches, which is perfect. It's great to have those around. Now for number three, I chose jalapeno peppers. We use a lot of jalapenos. One way that we use them is make jalapeno poppers. The way that I do that, because we're trying to be careful about the carbs that we're eating, is I'll just slice the jalapeno in two. So I slice the stem off, then I slice the jalapeno in two, scoop out all the seeds. I put cream cheese on the inside and a little bit of cheddar cheese on top, put them in the oven, get them nice and golden brown, and they're really good. We eat that as a side with a lot of our dinners. Another way that we use them, of course, is just to spice up any meal that we're making. If we want it a little bit spicier, we just put in some jalapenos and it works perfect. But the bulk of the way that I use the jalapenos that we grow out in our garden is by preserving them. So I dehydrate our jalapenos. First, what I do to prep them is I have a Ninja. It's any food processor would do, or just chop them up real small. But I cut off the stems and I throw the entire jalapeno, seeds and all, into the Ninja and just chop it up real tiny. Then I put that on trays in the dehydrator and I dehydrate those jalapenos. And I store them just in airtight mason jars. And I use those almost just like a seasoning to spice up anything we're cooking. So most commonly what we use that in is like taco meat. When we're making tacos, burritos, anything like that, I like to put those jalapenos in there. It spices it up. It's really good. Then I'm not buying like a store-made packet of, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I would just prefer to try to get most of it out of my garden if I can. So we use that predominantly in the taco seasoning, like as a taco seasoning. But we also just use it in a variety of meals that we're making. So I've made Alfredo sauce and put a little bit of jalapeno in there. It's really good. If you haven't tried it, I'd encourage you to do so, especially if you're growing jalapenos out in your garden and you have just a ton of jalapenos that you can't use right away. That's the way we enjoy using them. Now I've shared this little trick with family. And now what I have to do is grow more jalapenos out in our garden so that I could share these dehydrated jalapenos with everyone, because it's kind of started a little trend around our family and everyone likes to use it. So that's pretty nice. So next on my list after jalapenos is going to be number 4, which is orange habaneros. So I really enjoy the orange habaneros. The way that we use those is I actually preserve those also. I make a habanero jelly. And what I use this for is my go-to hors d'oeuvre. So anytime I'm asked to bring something like to a get-together, or if we have family and friends over, my go-to hors d'oeuvre is just to put habanero jelly over like a block of goat cheese or even just cream cheese and eat that with veggies or crackers. And it's really good. People tend to really like it, even if they haven't tried it or it sounds a little weird to them. They really like it, and then they always ask me, do you have another jar of this? Can I take it home? So this year, I'm trying to grow even more orange habaneros so I can make plenty of habanero jelly for everyone. Number 5 on my list is Anaheim Peppers. So we use Anaheim Peppers almost as a replacement for bell peppers. And the reason I like to grow Anaheim peppers specifically is the plant gets really big. It produces just a ton of peppers. I don't have any pest issues, any growth issues with the plants. It seems to just do really well for me every single year. So I always choose Anaheim peppers. I do try to plant some bell peppers, but in my top 10 list, when I pick number 5, it's a clear, easy decision for me with Anaheim peppers. Now, number 6, I chose zucchini. Zucchini is something we really love around here. Our animals love to eat it. It's a really versatile vegetable. It's a prolific producer. It doesn't take much time or effort to grow a zucchini plant. In fact, if somebody was trying to, if somebody was asking, what's one plant I can grow? I don't have a green thumb. I would say zucchini. No problem. Put some zucchini out in your yard and I bet you'll grow some great food for your family to enjoy. So that was my number 6. So number 7 is Delicata Squash. Now, if you haven't had Delicata Squash, it is really, really good. It's challenging for me to find in the stores. I actually hadn't seen it before in the stores. So I would recommend you try it. What I like about Delicata Squash is, to me, it's a perfect replacement for a potato. But we try to eat low carb. So I was looking for a keto option that would replace potatoes. And, I've just got to be honest, the cauliflower wasn't getting it done, at least not for us. I mean, it helps, it's okay, but it's not as good as a potato, in my opinion. So we found Delicata Squash as just a fantastic alternative to eating a higher carb option. So Delicata Squash has less carbs and it's really tasty. So what we do is I'll clean it, slice it down the middle, scoop out the seeds, and then just slice it really thin. Put it on a baking sheet, put it in the oven, and just crisp it up so it gets nice and crispy, and then put a little seasoned salt in it. As soon as I take it out of the oven, I'll put a little seasoned salt on top of it, and it's so good. It's just almost like you're eating French fries or something like that. So it's a really good replacement for potatoes, in my opinion, and it's a low-carb option, so it's something that we could fit in when we're being really careful with our carbs. If you haven't tried it, I would totally recommend you give it a try. We love it. The one downside I'll say to Delicata Squash is it doesn't store as long as some of the winter squashes. So we love to have it during the season when it's growing, and then we miss it when we don't have it in winter. So there's a few months that we don't have it. It doesn't last long enough for us. But luckily, we're getting the garden going during those months, and it should be available out in our garden soon. So that brings me to number 8, and number 8 is butternut squash. So I mentioned that Delicata Squash doesn't have quite as long as of a shelf life as some of the other winter squashes. So we actually like butternut squash as kind of like our number 2, our backup option for Delicata Squash, and we'll prepare it in quite similar fashion, but it stores longer. So during those winter months when we don't have the Delicata Squash, we've got butternut squash to fall back on. So it works out pretty well. Now number 9 is okra. And I know it doesn't produce as much as some of the other items on my list, but it's just something that I really enjoy and I'm going to grow it. On my top 10 list to grow, it's going to be on there. Nothing beats going out and getting the okra off the plant in the summertime and enjoying some fresh homemade okra. So that's just always going to make my list. So this brings us to number 10. And for number 10, I'm choosing rattlesnake green beans. I enjoy growing these rattlesnake pole beans out in my garden each year. They're really good. We enjoy having them. We usually cook them up with a little bit of bacon, and they're so good. I can't even recommend something that is similar to rattlesnake green beans that you could find in a grocery store. So that is why it's always going to make my list of things I'm going to grow out in my garden, because I just can't find an alternative like it that you can find in the grocery store. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed hearing about the 10 things that I consider must grows in my garden. if you guys have not tried one of these 10 items, then I encourage you to do so. Hopefully I piqued your interest in something that's new and exciting for you to learn about and grow in your garden. And also, I just wanted to shout out to Liz over at Byther Farms. Thank you so much for doing this collab with me. If you guys haven't watched her video, I'm gonna leave the link down in the description box below. So go click on that and watch her video and check it out. She's got 10 other items to share with you that I bet you'll find interesting. Before you go, be sure to click the subscribe button right here so that you don't miss anything on my channel. I'm back every week with new videos about what's going on here at Mayfield Ranch. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next week.